This is the assembly video for the Aristocrat version 3. It's got a couple upgrades over the version 2, more reliable triggering, better exit velocity for all projectiles. So let's get right into how to build this one. You'll need a couple other things to make this project a success. Like with the previous one, you'll need some string. I recommend this nylon kite string here for its great tensile strength, and it's also rather smooth, so it slides around really easily. You're also going to want a 4mm paracord, because that's what drives the entire thing, of course. You're going to want some straps of some sort. Just like last time, I'm using these Velcro cable organizers that I got from the hardware store for really cheap. You're going to also want either some rubber bands of various sizes or some 3mm paracord here. I think it looks more elegant, but you can get by on rubber bands just fine. And in terms of tools, you'll definitely want something to cut the paracord with. I recommend a lighter so you can singe off the edges of all the paracord. You'll also want a heavy implement maybe if you want to tap some parts that are a bit firm. And some sandpaper so you can just make sure everything slides together really smoothly. As another note for this one, you will also want 2 of the string catch pieces that are new. They fit in these slots here, but I'll get to that later. Everything else you'll just need 1 of, but you will need 2 of these. So to begin assembly here, what you're going to want to do is cut yourself a length of about a foot long of kite string. That's a generous estimate, but it's far better to have too long string trimmed down later than to have too little and not have enough to tie a knot that you need. Anyways, we're going to take this and we're going to thread it through the hole in the device there, all the way out through the back. You can see that it goes all the way through in the camera. So we're just going to take that, get a tool here to help us out. Just put that all the way through. Let's see if I can put it on the camera there. Just put it back through some more. Ooh, I almost had it. Magnificent, there it is. Now that that string is threaded through here, we're going to take the end near the back here and thread it through the square hole in the front of the release piece here. And we're going to want this knot here to be really tight and very durable, because in the V3, there's a lot more tension on this string here than on the V2 whenever you try to operate it. So you definitely don't want this to come loose at the most inopportune time. So I'm going to tie even a 3rd knot here. Ah, jeez. Gonna get my tweezers out for this one again. Like so. Tie that tight. But make sure that the string doesn't come out of there and come unthreaded. That would be really annoying. Now that this is tight, I'm going to take my scissors here and trim that. And because this is nylon kite string, I'm actually going to take my lighter here and singe it just a little bit to make sure. Come on. There. Make sure that it doesn't come undone. Because this string really does like to fray. There we are. Just like so. Perfect. This next bit here is a bit of a tight squeeze, but what you want to do is you want to take this assembly here and squeeze it into that slot on the back. The knot here might give you a little trouble at first, but that hole widens out once it gets further in. So if you just push it and work it in place there, it should slide through without an issue. And in fact, in this design, it goes all the way out that far. We don't want that, but it does. So that's kind of funny. Get back in there. There we are. Anyways, your next step involves this rectangular hole in the release there. Now that it aligns with this slot in the device, you're going to want to take your release bar piece here, and we're going to stick it in that slot and slide it through that rectangular hole. Just like so. That should friction fit in place and provide a pretty nice fit there. And I'll just make sure that everything slides. Man, it's almost as if it was designed to work that well. Huh, fancy that. Now, this next step can be skipped entirely by a singular rubber band, but I just like how the 3mm pseudo rubber band looks. So this is what the 3mm paracord will be used for. Essentially, you just cut a length of it, and then you tie a loop into one end here. And we're going to loop it around this end of the release bar, around the back of the device here, and hook it onto the other end of the release bar back there. That'll give it the release here its springiness, just like so. Again, you can absolutely use a singular rubber band, because these are time-consuming to make. But I just like how the 3mm paracord looks. It just seems more elegant in the end. Why don't we do the retaining arm next? Just like in previous designs, you're going to want the retaining arm hinge pin, which I mentioned you print vertically, and the retaining arm itself. I also have pre-threaded through here another of my pseudo rubber bands. You can use a normal rubber band again if you like. It really makes no difference. The point is, you're just going to want to put that right there, and put this right through here. Make sure it all lines up, and push it through, just like so. And oh, one other thing, you're going to want to hook the retaining arm rubber band onto these hooks here on the rear of the main body first, before you hook on the release bars rubber band. That way everything holds itself together and it works rather nicely. The end result, of course, is that this retaining arm has a little bit of elastic pressure to it, even when at rest, so it doesn't just flip around wildly, and it will hold any ammo you put in here tight, and the release still works and everything. Next up is my favorite part of the assembly here. We're going to take those two string catches we printed earlier, and the associated hinge pin, the crossbow hinge pin it's called in the files, which we also printed vertically. Basically, what we're going to want to do is take one of these guys. You might want to sand it to make sure it fits loosely where it needs to go, which is in this slot in the top of the device here. We're going to take our hinge pin. We're going to stick it through there and make sure it all fits in. And we're going to push it almost all the way through. Take our other string catch here. Drop that one into place. Take our hinge pin and push it the rest of the way through. So those will sit just like that. Make sure they can move loosely here. Let me just use the tweezer to show you. And the idea is whenever you push the release in, they'll drop into the device there. And I just think that's really cool. Next up, we're going to install the priming arm here. So what we're going to want is our two priming arms L and R here, the priming grip pin, and the priming arm hinge pin here. I made sure to make the supports way more forgiving to remove for this indent here now, so you can take your priming arm hinge pin and insert it into that slot, and you shouldn't need to force it or tap it too hard this time, which is very nice. Next, you'll take priming arms here. This is the left one. Put that in place there. Again, that friction fits quite solidly. Make sure that the shark fin here is sticking outwards, and go ahead and put the one on the other side as well. Just like so. Lastly, we can put the grip pin into place here. That is, if I was good at assembling my own devices. Come on. This one is still a bit tighter, but with enough perseverance, you can just clip it right onto place. Maybe you do need the tapping thing after all. There it goes. And then I'll just Next, you're going to want to install the main cable that's going to drive the whole operation here. You're going to want to trim it a little longer than this. This is one cut to exact length because I've already assembled this thing and I know exactly how long it should be. The point is, you're going to want to tie a knot at one end of the 4mm paracord here. And so we're going to take the front of the device. We're going to thread it through one of these front holes, like so. Next, we're going to put this down. We're going to take our string, we're going to hook it up over that fin, around the top of the device, hook it over this fin, and put it in this hole, like so. Next, you're going to want to pull that taut, so even at rest, just like with all the other steps here, it's got some firm tension to it. Not too much, of course, because if it's too taut right now, it won't ever be able to prime and hook onto these things back here. But still, you don't want it exactly loose either. Next, when that's tensioned, you're going to want to put your finger there to make sure you know exactly where the knot should go. You're going to take your other hand here and unhook it from both hooks there. And that'll give you a little extra room here to tie the knot. So we're just going to go like so, and tie that, and make sure it all just works like it should here. And there we are, an ordinary knot. Pull that tight again, make sure that this string comes out of the way, and hook it back over each hook here. Before you trim your cord to length, you're going to want to test it out to make sure it primes properly first once you've tensioned it. So just take your priming arm here and pull it back. If you've done it right, you should have heard that click right there. That was the string getting slotted right onto these release bits there. String catches, I mean. And to release it at this stage, you can simply push on the back thing here. Note that there's a lot of friction right here before it triggers. That's a known issue. Not a lot I can do about it, but it's a lot easier to deal with when the ring is tied on, so don't worry too much about it right now. Anyways, just push that forward and it should release. Those things should drop in, just like before. Once more, I'm just gonna up, over, so you hear that click there. That means it's primed. Put it down, and there's the release. Perfect. Now, we are going to strap it to our arm. So my straps here that I've come up with are these little cable organizer Velcro straps. I've taken two and I've affixed them end to end to form one strap. And you need 2 straps total. You're gonna strap them in these slots just here, 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 and here, and then strap it to your arm. There isn't a really good way to describe how to do it, and because my arms are very long and thin, it's going to be different for me than everybody else, so I'm just going to cut to when I have it on my arm. Just as a couple notes, when you strap it to your arm, you want the straps to be firm and tight, but not, cut off circulation. Basically, you want to make sure that this thing doesn't slip forward even when it's like constantly pushed, because that'll mess up string tension later. To do this, I recommend you take your first strap here, and you strap it just behind the ball of your wrist, so that it'll hang on to the ball of your wrist there, like so. And the second strap is just sort of to keep the back in place, so that one just sort of sits where it sits, really. And that is surprisingly effective and solid. Like, it moves a little bit when my skin moves whenever I pull on it, but other than that, it's pretty good. The final step here is to attach the trigger ring, tie the string on it, and make sure it has the right tension to trigger when we want it to, and not before or after. So I'm going to choose which finger I want the trigger ring to go on when I want to trigger it. My middle finger is always a good option. I'm going to take my nylon string here. I'm going to wrap it and stick it through the back of the trigger ring here, and it'll poke out the front. I spent a while on the ergonomics of the trigger ring. That little duck bill on it there should face towards your finger so that it won't tilt. That'll stop it from tilting. So it should look like this on your hand. And then we're going to tip our hand slightly up and pull the string taut, just like so. So whenever I tip my hand down and keep the string tight, it'll move that, just like so. Anyways, I'm then going to take some tweezers so that it'll be easier to tie this next knot here. And I'm going to just tie a knot. And again, you don't want this knot to slip, so make sure that when you tie it, everything's tight, and then tie a second knot just to solidify things. Like so. I can pull that one tight. A double knot should be sufficient there. And you'll notice whenever I move my hand down, that trigger moves forward there. Just like so. Now if I were to prime the device and pull my hand forward, it should trigger just fine. Now that friction you met earlier when pushing the back button here, it actually doesn't feel quite as bad when you're using the ring. So that friction actually stops you from accidentally triggering the device, but it's not enough to prevent you or make it difficult to trigger the device later. It's a really nice balance, and I really like it. Oh, and just one final note we'll make this video. This crossbow hinge pin right here can get extremely loose and like push out and fall out. Sometimes I noticed that when I was making this video. Fortunately, there's an easy fix. If you were to simply cut yourself a little slip of electrical tape like so, you can just stick it over both ends of the hole there, and that'll keep it in place just fine. I usually don't like to use extra tape or adhesives when I'm making my builds, but if that hinge pin here ever gets way too loose, this is definitely one of the easiest fixes I've ever seen, and it sticks around for like forever, so don't really worry about that. Now, in terms of operating the device, operating the V3 is a lot easier than operating the V2. For the V2, whenever you were loading it with an ammo type, you had to sort of memorize a sweet spot where every ammo would work properly. With the V3, they all work in the exact same place, so it's all just standard. Let me just prime it right there. Oh, it's already primed. So for like half darts, right, you just put them against the string and they'll fire. Pretty standard. Or I guess you could put them under there. Full darts, you just put them against the string and they'll fire. Pretty standard there. Rival rounds, you just put them against the... No, I'm kidding. You put them under the retaining arm because that's really the only place they'll fit. And it shoots these rival rounds rather well. I'm very surprised with the V3's ability to do so. Mega darts, guess what? You just put it under the string and it'll fire. And Mega XLs are absolutely no different. So it's all just standardized ammo placement now. And for some reason, the V3 shoots everything with more velocity than the V2. I didn't even make the string any stronger than the V2 or make it any tighter. It just does that. So I'm rather pleased with that, pleasantly surprised. And I hope you will be too. See you.